All right, Sebastian. Well, thank you for joining me today. I guess just for those who don't know your story, just kind of start me right at the beginning of when we first started working together and what the issues that you had.
Okay, um, so I was dealing with some anterior shoulder pain. I believe starting around like 2023, 2024-ish. And it kind of progressed into more like mobility issues. And that kind of progressed into more mental issues going into like the season and just not being able to be the pitcher that I always knew that I could be because of the pain. And I had found out about your website and just a little bit about your program on social media, and I just thought, hey, what the hell? Let me just try it out. What do I got to lose? And I reached out. Um, I saw your program. I saw some things that you had posted. It seemed different from anything else that I'd ever seen before, and I'm just like, okay, well, maybe since it's different, what's that saying? If you want different results, you can't be doing the same thing.
Mhm.
So that's what I was thinking about, and yeah, I just dove head first into it, and now I'm seeing some results. You know what I mean?
So, what were some of the other things that you had tried to deal with this shoulder pain before you and I started working together?
So some of the things that I had went into was things that are really common to baseball players, like really heavy band work, heavy exterior interior focus exercises. Um, First I had tried to look at my mechanics, like because they say a lot it starts from the ground up. I was thinking about top velocity, drive line type things, avenues that are really not foreign to baseball players, Um, but as I was explaining, those avenues weren't really reaping the results that I wanted because I was doing them so much that it felt like I was going backwards in a way. I wasn't really attacking the cause of the problem, I was attacking the symptoms, which is something that you had explained to me.
So, when we made these changes, what from like the stuff that you've done in the past to the stuff that I had you do, what would you kind of say is the biggest difference in the changes or the differences that we were doing together?
So the biggest differences that I could say is the way that the workouts changed per session, or I wouldn't say weekly, I would say each increment of the exercises was different. It attacked something different each period of the workout, something that I wasn't really used to. As long as I can remember in youth baseball, they always just teach you the same activation exercises. You're not going to stray away from this. You're going to keep doing them every game. Do 20 exterior pulls with the band, and that repetition was something that I've kind of been brainwashed to be accustomed to, just like the same thing over and over again. And if it's not working, then it's a problem with you and not with what you're doing. And it was kind of refreshing to see a new approach with like, okay, now this week we're going to focus on a different muscle group, a different set of bones. And that's something that was new to me. And I'm liking it so far.
What about that change of going from one part of your body to another as we see the posture photos actually change with it and we change your exercises? With this change in the stimulus that your body's getting, instead of it just being the same thing that you've been doing from your youth career, what do you feel like that's allowed you to either do differently or has allowed you to make this progress that we've been seeing?
Um, I think that aside from the performance side of things, it's allowed me to think of my body in a different way. It's allowed me to like become more aware of what my body does, how it functions, and to see it as the cohesive system that it is in reality, and not just some like object that I use for throwing. I use my body in many different ways throughout the day when it comes to my exercises, running, playing the game, doing another sport, or just like walking down the street. And this program has just overall let me see what my body is capable of, just like in general. Like I wouldn't recommend this just for athletes. I would recommend this for anybody who's just trying to like improve their just way of life. Like it's allowed me to really live my life fuller. You know what I mean?
The thing that I love that you just said that because my next question for you was actually going to kind of go in that direction.
Yeah.
Because when you and I first started working together, not that I would say that you were like depressed or down, but like you just have so much more like life and energy within you right now. So taking it away from what your body feels like, how have you mentally changed now that you aren't dealing with this same pain and you're able to get back on the field?
Yeah, most definitely the mental side of things has been huge. I can definitely expand upon my thought process going into it, I was kind of lost in a way. I was kind of like, I wouldn't say helpless, but just feeling like my options were waning down on what I could do to better my situation. Um, but I would say that this program has been more of like a light at the end of the tunnel in a way, because each time, of course, as you know, it took a little while to see the results in my case.
Mhm.
But when I did start reaping the results, it was kind of like I was reaching somewhere. I was reaching a destination. I was seeing results. And as someone who's trying to like change my thought process from a result based thought process and more of a process based one, I can say, and I can speak for a lot of people, that results are comforting to see, you know, like when you're getting closer to your goal or your journey and everything. But it's kind of taught me that when you seem like you're going away from the result, or you're kind of getting into a spot of confusion or uncertainty, that in reality you just got to press on for real. And that just really helped me gain perspective in that aspect of the mental side of the sport, you know. I
Mhm.
can say that I'm way happier now, and I just feel like lighter in a sense, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we're talking about the changes and kind of the results that we're speaking about here, what are those changes and the results that you feel, whether it's the decreased pain in the shoulder, increased velocity, command control, like what are these results that you're talking about?
So before I get into the results, I'm gonna talk about a little bit what was kind of holding me back in the first place.
Okay.
Kind of goes into that first question. The things that I was dealing with were all stemming from pain in the front of my shoulder. And when I wasn't comfortable throwing hard, I would baby the ball, I would push it, and I wasn't really going full intent at batters. And when you're a pitcher, you gotta go full intent. You gotta have no fear behind pitches. You just gotta let loose, you know. And I wasn't really doing that, and that kind of progressed into a more mental issue. So I had the pain, and then the mental issue progressed into a control issue, and that's just a recipe for disaster when it comes down to being a high level pitcher, you know. But when we started attacking the body, um, and just seeing how I could move correctly, that kind of diminished the pain. And then from there was a whole nother journey of, okay, now that I'm not feeling the pain, it's now trying to rewire my brain into not being afraid to throw hard. Um, and that's been a difficult process in itself, but I can say now that I'm just not afraid of letting loose anymore, you know. And when you're not afraid of letting your body do what it needs to do on the mound, and that's when you reap the results that you want to see. You know, you're gonna let the ball move the way it is. You're not thinking about where it's going. And yeah, I can say that's what's been happening now.
What was that click for you that allowed you to get over that mental barrier and just be like, no, I'm ready to let it rip?
I would say the first click was when I gained my external rotation back in my shoulder. As you can see, this right here is my bread and butter. Because when I know that based on my mechanics, I'm a really long arm action type of guy. I'm not like a Spencer Strider type of thing right here. I'm big
Just
and
pick it to
long
the
with it.
ear and go. Like it's got to swing.
Exactly. It's a big type of like catapult type of thing, you know? And when I'm feeling instability in the front of my shoulder, chest area, pec, anywhere, bicep, that right there is like an indicator of like, okay, I'm doing something wrong. And then I start thinking about things, then I unravel. But the click was right after I believe I had did this guy right here,
The elbow curl.
the elbow curl, yeah. Um, right after that, I believe for the third set of that day, I had gained back the mobility, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is legit. And that click right there kind of took away the pain stress factor out of everything. But when I started to throw again with my throwing partner or my homeboy, we was just throwing, and I had thrown a few baseballs softs, and I was just like, okay, there's no more pain, Sebastian. You just gotta like let loose, you know, like you got a season ahead. And I would say like the first three throws with high intent, I was like, yeah, I'm back. Like I'm back right there. Like that was the click right there.
Were you long tossing? Were you pitching? Like what was like the distance or the intent on this? Like was it full go 100% like fuck it, I'm ripping it or like where were we at on
Mhm.
this?
So I would say that I've never really been a long toss type of person. But especially through this experience, just with the arm pain, I was kind of self-conscious about long tosses in the first place because I was like, okay, we're just gonna go to little past mound distance, or we're just gonna flat ground, work on pitch feel. And I found that I was putting air under the baseball at a flat ground distance, and I was like, nah, fuck that. Excuse me, nah,
I did it too. I did it
nah.
too.
Sorry, excuse my language. I was like, nah, we can't do that. So I was just like, hey, this ball might go anywhere. Just be prepared. And he's like, hey, just throw it. So I just threw it, and I just imagined throwing it right through his chest, and that's exactly what I envisioned, and that's how I executed my fastball. And for me, when my fastball is working good and I got that good backspin, I can throw any pitch off of that. When it may be my curveball or slider. So after that, after I threw that first fastball, I threw two curveballs, and I was like, yeah, I got the break, I got everything. I was just envisioning his the batter's shoulder and then just breaking off of that and using my spin. And yeah, it was just working. And I was just like, okay, yeah. So I'm gonna have to do a bullpen in a few days after this. And I believe 3 days after that, I threw my first bullpen when I had arrived to Puerto Rico. And yeah, everything was working. Everything was feeling solid. Of course, a little bit of fatigue at the start because I hadn't been throwing with that much intent. But I'm building that foundation little by little with my long toss and with my throwing and flat grounds.
I got a couple more for you. So going back to this process versus result mindset, that wasn't necessarily something that you and I discussed a lot, but I am happy, like absolutely happy that you've made that shift for yourself. So for you, what was the thing that allowed you to make that shift?
Hmm. Um, Making that shift, I would say that the process versus result mindset has always been something that I've been hearing maybe from mentors or coaches over the years, but of course it's easier said than done.
Absolutely.
I'd always hear it and it'd be in the back of my mind, but I'd find myself on the mound reverting back to being result based. And especially now or then when I was injured, excuse me, that's the biggest indicator, that's the biggest result or situation that you're in that you automatically go into negativity. And that right there, sitting in that negativity, sitting in that depression, sitting in that uncertainty, you can only make one of two decisions. You can stay in that, or you can say, okay, I'm going to try something new. I'm going to focus on focusing. I'm not going to focus on what I'm living through. I could have put that into better words, but let me see if I could re-explain that. Like
I think I
basically,
have an idea what you're saying. Like,
yeah.
if I'm on the mound and I'm so concerned about like I've got to strike this dude out, is it's not going to allow me to be present in that moment to actually get the strikeout because I'm so concerned about what happens if I don't strike this guy out, like that guy on third scores, what happens, and you aren't able to like see that as clearly. Is that what you're getting at or not quite?
Exactly. Being present is big. Just being aware of the options that you have as a human being in any situation that you're in, and just knowing that failure isn't real. It's a construct of your mind. Like the only person who fails is a person who quits. And just being an athlete, being at the level that you're at, that you could have quit so many times instead of being where you're at. So why start quitting now? Like failure is not real. Success isn't even real. It just depends on who lives it in that moment. So I wasn't going to let that temporary injury or that temporary result, that temporary walk, temporary home run, hit by pitch, whatever, dictate my next move forward. I decided to dictate that for myself.
Dude, that's powerful. I absolutely love that for you because that's huge. That's absolutely huge. So, last one for you, Sebastian. Just kind of as you've gone through this, what would you kind of say to the guy who's on the fence about, I don't know if this is right for me, or hey, like the investment of this, what this is going to take me with my time or my money, like I don't know if this is worth it to me. What would you say to that person?
I would say that everyone has their preferences in terms of training. Of course, driveline or top velocity will work for their body or whatever. But I'll say that for someone who wants to try something different and has tried the same thing over and over again, especially someone who has lived through baseball culture, which is a very repetitive and old school mentality type of sport, um, I'd ask them to just see the trend of where this sport is going. Like going back 20, even 15 years, the game and the science behind the game has changed so much. Um, just ask yourself, why not try something new? when the people in um the places that they're trying to be, like the MLB or D1 baseball, they're trying new things. Why shouldn't you try new things to get to where you want to be? You know?
Absolutely. I lied. Last one for you. Talking about the season coming up down there in Puerto Rico, what are you hoping to be able to do now that you're back and healthy?
I'm hoping to just really hone in on that process versus result mindset. Um, just not focus on the past and the future. Just really sit in the present and just know that every decision, every pitch that I make, I'm gonna make it 100% my own. You know, like I'm gonna make every single pitch that I make 100% with my own faith and intent behind it. And whatever happens, happens. All I know is that in the moment, I have full control of what I'm gonna do. And yeah, just gonna attack batters, you know.
Well, man, I'm excited for you. I can't say enough. Like, dude, the work you've put in has been unreal. Like, you've gone above and beyond. And I know it took us a while to get the results to be able to kind of sit in there and stick, but I'm super happy with the work you've put in and like, really excited for the season that you're about to put out.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you so much, Connor.